They just named Kevin Patullo as their new offensive coordinator. It'll be Jalen Hurts' 6 different play callers first 6 seasons. So here's the deal. Jalen Hurts, the years they've made the Super Bowl, has been unbelievable. The intermittent years has been, okay. The most notable part of that is, of course, the most recent year. They made the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. It was another year when he had a new offensive coordinator. Coach, I'll start with you. How do you expect this to impact Hurts? And do you think this leads to a step forward, where progression from where he is, or maybe a temporary step back?
Well, the good news is that he's used to this situation. Right. So this is something he's very comfortable with in terms of having to learn a new offense or having to adjust to a new play caller and develop that chemistry and those sorts of things. So I think that's positive. What I hope doesn't happen is I hope they don't lose track of what's made this team and him successful. And to some degree, I felt like that's what happened last season, and it's what happened at the start of this season. To me, it feels like he's about a 30 attempt per game max guy and heavy on the running game, and that's been really an effective formula for him and for them. And it feels similar to Dak Prescott at the start of his career. It was a heavy run-first offense. His attempts were not limited extremely, but also weren't on the other end of the spectrum either. And that was a great space for where he was and for what the Cowboys needed to do. Dak gets the contract. Now they're going to try to make it, all about him on the marquee. Yeah. Not as effective. Similar thing with Jalen, gets the contract. Now they're going to try to push the passing game more than it should be, and it's not very effective. And I'm not saying he can't improve, but I think you emphasize your strengths and you limit your weaknesses, and while you're limiting your weaknesses, you're consistently working on those weaknesses, to try to continue to improve on them, but don't stray.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And you would think, because it's a guy who's been there since Sirianni was there, like the new offensive coordinator, Patullo, that he will say, what we did last year worked swimmingly, so let's not stray from it. Now, last year when they hired Brian Johnson, who was a friend of Hurts' family, but he had been there too, and they did change things up. So it's not automatic, I guess. But to me, they should just basically run it back, do the same thing. And what Jalen has to do, because you're right, Coach, I don't think he's the type of guy to get overconfident or cocky or, certainly not complacent. I think he is a winner like a Mahomes. He's not ever going to be in the GOAT conversation. But I think he's looking at this man, I want to win and win and win and win and win. And I don't see him getting complacent. But I think he should look at a Tom Brady model and say, not that it'll be that good, but say, Brady grew into being the great passer and the focal point of the offense, even though he was winning Super Bowls earlier. And that's how Hurts should be, because he's improving dramatically as a passer from the beginning of his career. But right now, you got the great running back. You got a great offensive line.
You also have great receivers.
And you can run.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want them to get and AJ's probably going to want the ball.
Well, AJ put on Instagram, he was like, I won the Super Bowl and realized I actually didn't love it. I didn't enjoy it that much. And again, I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek.
But that's what they're going to have to fight against.
AJ put on Instagram essentially confirming some of the stuff you've said, which is, man, if you're a great player, yes, you want to win, but you want you to be a part of the reason you're winning and put up the big numbers. Yeah. So but go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so for me, I think he's going to take a step forward. I think he has to take a step forward. And we all make it sound so simple for them to just run it back, do the same thing you did this past season. It worked for you. And I'm not saying that you change.
2,000 yards from Saquon.
I'm not saying exactly. I'm not saying you change your approach. However, kind of like what you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, taking games in the regular season to where they practice different things. There has to be a time where we see Jalen Hurts and this offense say, you know what, Jalen? Let's go. Let's go throw the ball 40-plus times and see what it looks like. See how we look efficiently, because we know who we are.
Not only
like that.
They could just put on the tape of the first 4 games.
Yeah, but maybe hold on.
Look at that.
They could,
or all of last year, and be like, hey, let's see how it looks.
So, but let me push back on you in this regard. What if? Because you're right about Brady. That it was around.
just
But it was
gradually
around
grow.
his 7th year.
Yeah.
This is Jalen Hurts' 6th year. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Hurts he's only been like a front of the marquee guy for the last 3 years, but he's not on his rookie deal anymore. What if Jalen Hurts goes to Sirianni and Patullo and says, "Yeah, I want that. I want to show everyone that they said that you couldn't win with me. Did that. Now I want to. We have these awesome receivers, and I have been the ultimate team guy. I run that tush push. You know what I mean? I diffuse things, all of it. I'm the Super Bowl MVP. We just scored 55 and 40 points in our final 2 games of the year. I would like to have a shot at being the more, traditional drop back passer. That's what I want. I feel like he's earned that right to have them try that. And again, I don't know that he wants it. Right. I'm just saying if you were running the team, he has got to have earned a huge amount of equity with the head coach to where his input is going to matter more than any other player in the locker room, I would think.
But I don't think it's been a situation where he hasn't had input. And I would imagine that every single game plan, quarterbacks always have a significant amount of input. And he seems like the type of guy, to me, that you would build trust with very quickly. You would understand that he has the best interest of the team in mind. And I would imagine that he'd also have the perspective of what works the best. Because he said it over and over again, the most important thing to him is winning. So I don't think it's going to be a question of, hey, I need to prove to the world that they have me wrong. And from a receiver's perspective, I completely get what you're saying. If you're a great receiver, you want to have the opportunity to show your greatness. But maybe AJ should give Tyreek a call and say, hey, how'd that work out for you down in Miami? You feeling good about missing those 2 Super Bowls?
Right.
You got paid a lot of money. You got a lot more receptions. But there is some magic in being a part of something that's bigger than yourself.
No question. The only pushback I would have is in defense of this hypothetical version of Jalen Hurts that, again, I have no idea. I would understand if he was like, well, there's one itch I haven't scratched. You know what I mean? I've been this great dual threat. I've shown that we can, you know what I mean? I can game manage. I can win. There's one real question about Jalen Hurts, the football player, at this point, which is, what if they asked him to do what they asked Joe Burrow to do, or these, those, could he do it? We might all have questions if he can. I wouldn't blame him if he said, hey, I want to try that. Yeah. Like that would, and to me, he's earned that right with how he's conducted himself, how he's played this past season.
And I think this year coming up, if they all knew, let's say you guys are going to win the Super Bowl. What's required is you to do the same thing that you did last year, this year. I think that most of them, without a shadow of a doubt, will automatically sign up for it. But if you tell them, okay, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. That's off the board. You're not winning the Super Bowl. We're going to do the same thing we did this past season. You got some guys.
Saquon's pissed.
You got some guys who are like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And it's not just a receiver thing. It's like if it's not guaranteed that this is going to win us games, like at least let me show that I can be one of the reasons why we win. And as a receiver, you want that opportunity. I'm not saying you got to throw me the ball 10 times a game, but can we throw it at least to myself and my counterparts?
I think the biggest challenge for Hurts has to realize, and the fact is he's at the one position where it's just about winning. Yeah. I get it for a receiver. Like, nobody's looking at receivers, oh, he's got 3 Super Bowls. They're looking at their stats. You already got your one.
Correct.
So I'm a winner. Now I'm about stats and getting my money. But for Hurts, if he wins this next Super Bowl, nobody's going to be like, yeah, but he only throws for 200 yards a game. He's going to get crazy praise.
That's Eli. There's still questions about. Yeah.
But Eli didn't have the regular seasons like Hurts as far as.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.